Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 12th, right? Yeah, it's the 12th. I don't know how some people do it, where it's like you just always know what the day is. How do they do that? I never know what day it is. I always have to look at the calendar. I remember now. Now that I've looked at it, it's the 12th. Anyways, I'm yapping. Let's go to the charts. By the way, good morning, William Niggle. Welcome back. Need more viewers. Well, you know what? Not everybody wakes up this early. You know, Treasuries open too early. Early bird catches the worm, right? All right, where are we? Volume profile. Okay, so yesterday, very eventful day. Should we say, in the markets. First thing I want to look at, gold. Gold took a huge hit, and oh man. So some people in chat were looking for 1,800. They ain't quite get there, but they did reach 1,900, which is just insane. There, of course, is going to be a ton of buying the dip, though. Okay, but really, the E-mini is where we care about. Things were kind of going okay. The talks in the Congress over coronavirus stimulus breaking down. Mitch McConnell finally giving the markets the warning that they needed. I think that a lot of this had to do with it being so late in the day, and the market makers seemed to be very much long in the tooth and had to bail. So this move down, probably a little bit of an overreaction, because even though this is a very important news, I feel like anybody that's smart and paying attention should have known that it was there. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, they did retrace it, quite a bit of it here, right, in the overnight. And when I look at my cost basis and everything else like that, we're right smack dab in the middle. So I'd say we're fairly balanced right now in the E-mini to open out. All right. Now, Treasuries. Treasuries, a huge bender of a day. They were down overnight. CPI came out. They were down. A little bit of covering into the after the option spit close, but then in the overnight, further downside move. So much volume on this down move. One has to wonder who it is that is dumping. Those are some big players. This could be sovereign wealth funds. Some crazy stuff happening. We really want to pay attention to the treasuries today. And that's because we got news. We have core inflation rate expecting a reading month over month of spot 3 versus the previous reading of spot 6. If that number was high, it would cause real chaos. And then we should look at oil. Oil's still kind of in a range here, though. All right. So, oh, and the dollar. The dollar was firmer yesterday, and overnight it extended its gains, 93.82 of overnight high, but now back to where we were yesterday, 93.51. Further dollar strengthening could upset the market, right? So that's where we're at. Oh dear, I don't have my news squawk up. So let's fix that. If I can even remember the name of it now, my mind is all blank. So I have a hard time remembering names of things these days. What's with that? Financial juice. Okay. They're posting the OPEC monthly report. Okay, cool. Got that going. So again, we're looking for a reading of spot 3. If that number is low, or I mean is high, If it was like a spot 4 or a spot 6, like yesterday was a spot 6, right? That would just, man, markets would be so mad. Is just about the only way I can put it. Look at that liquidity sitting down there. That's a little eerie. Sell. 0.6. Hmm. So, wow. Oh, I never turned you guys on for the text to speech. Let's do that. I understand now. These guys were all looking at the economic things that compose up these numbers, and they knew that inflation had picked up this month. Significant increase in inflation. Spot 6 month over month. It's a huge deal. All the moving numbers is making my head hurt, says William. So while we're watching this, I just cancel that one. Um, the thing that makes the DOM so effective, I don't think that people realize. When you look at a chart, right, up and down is price, and left to right is time. So if I have a bunch of charts next to each other, I really have to move my eye from chart to chart to really see what's going on, because I kind of have to look at the time in the past to see where we really are. In the DOM, I have this center button, right? So I know at this point, okay, everything's centered. And then all of these instruments, if it ticks down, it'll just go down. So I know at a glance instantly whether we've moved up or down on that instrument, right? That's what one of the things that makes it so effective is that I can literally I can keep my eyes right here. I know what's happening over here in the E-mini, right? They haven't really, well, they moved down initially and now they're kind of basing, right? That ticked down. Okay. These two ticked down, this one didn't, right? I instantly know. And if I wanted to manage multiple positions in different markets, I could do that too. So a DOM is a very, very effective tool. It seems really overwhelming at first because there's so many numbers, right? But you've just got to remember, you've just got to realize that not every single one of these numbers matters, right? It's really kind of the just salt of it, right? Get taking the whole thing. Well, that pushed the E-mini out. I'm hmm. I could see if they were really gonna stop out all of the longs in the E-mini, they could go down to 33.35, 33.30. Yesterday's close, not out of the question at this point. I think that you could be seeing, man. Well, the whole thing here is a little bit of inflation is not necessarily bad for equities. So you can still see the treasuries move down and the equities move up. some of those readings were like really negative earlier in the pandemic. So I guess a spot six is kind of in a way. Well, let's come back and look at it. Let's come back and look at it on. Go to Forex Factory. It's probably the best place to look. CPI, and we get a graph. Yeah, so see here, some of these were deflationary. So for us to go at spot six as an acceleration, recovering it, we could just go back to the spot three, spot two area, like we always are. So it's not necessarily the end of the world, but it very much explains why the treasuries have just been sell, 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 sell. Okay, so I'm noticing that the overnight action has been such a strong trend that they're having a hard time getting enough contracts to be able to sell further. There's the E-mini pushing higher. I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, well, it is higher inflation. Oh, hold on. Mnuchin is talking about a capital gains tax cut. Anyways, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be bad for equities. He's talking, so this might do crazy things. Anyways, so it's like, yeah, they're getting the inflation now. That doesn't mean that the Federal Reserve has to raise interest rates, right? Because this could still trail off. We could still have deflation in our future. It could be a temporary. I mean, what the economists are saying is that you're going to have a short term increase in inflation, but then over time, it's going to go back to the deflationary environment. So I think that means that like the specter of negative interest rates is even less likely than it was. Um, but they can still just keep interest rates at zero. So I suppose the downside on the treasuries is capped to somewhat, to some extent. But I also think that people are kind of starting to put the pressure on the Federal Reserve. Like a lot of investors do believe that they're going to create serious inflation that would be very bad for the economy. I mean, the initial reaction in the E-mini was down, even though, like, again, if we're getting inflation, that means that everything, the dollar value of everything increases, right? It might not, your dollar isn't worth as much, but asset prices are generally going to increase. So you don't, the move down in equities is kind of actually counter to what it should be to some extent. The high inflation number It's only bad for equities if the Federal Reserve increases interest rates, right? Very interesting. What are people saying?
Tinchu says good morning.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back. I'm very happy we ran that special stream in the afternoon yesterday, and I see a bunch of you guys here this morning, so that's great. Well, liquidity is getting pretty tight here, O2. Kind of looks like they want to engage at this price. Wow. Mnuchin is talking. Is he on CNBC? We want more legislation to help the U.S. economy.
William Neagle says wed. Morning wigs has to be a thing. Exploding head.
Well, it's not a bad idea. But I don't have any of those, and there's no way I'm going to spend my own money on a wig. My understand those things are not cheap. Dollar. The dollar is getting weaker on this, which is what you'd expect. High inflation, dollar worth less. Which again is where it's like, that's actually kind of a positive for the equities. So do we have other news? Well, we have some Fed speakers today. 10-year note auction. I see. All these big orders at 01.
William Neagle says do you have any non-futures plays that you do throughout the day? Any Fs you swing or day trade?
No. So one of the things is that, first of all, I
Tinchu
really
says
like.
hi Seth, can you explain your
Hold
thinking
on.
behind your ZB trades? It still seems to me like you are trading the yield curve. Cause the yield curve is constructed by the YTM of every note.
Okay, one question at a time. So first of all, I like to stick to futures, and the reason that I do that is because part of my edge is being able to read the news and what's going on in the market and understand how it's going to affect my individual instrument. So especially when it comes to things like an ETF or a particular industry, you know, if I had an industry that I really specialized in, I knew really, really well, like if I was going to go into that, I think it would have to be tech. But like everybody knows about tech, how do you build an edge in tech? That's kind of hard. I have a friend that he is going to medical school, and he knows everything about pharmaceuticals and how those trials work and everything about that business. He makes serious money off of trading pharmaceuticals, right? Hold on. Payroll, talking about the payroll tax deferment now. So that's a really big component. You got to remember that technical edges are very, very limited. And there's so many people trading on technical edges. If you have the informational edge, it's so much more reliable. So I'm looking anywhere that I can get an informational edge. Plus, there's a lot of other things about the equities, right? Like you have to deal with the day trading rule if you don't have enough in the account. You don't get as good of leverage. The taxes are higher on it, things like that. So I do stick mostly to the futures. I'll watch the stocks. I own stocks, and I'll play stocks on longer time frames. But no, I mostly stick to the futures. And if you want to day trade, I really think that futures are a better, more fertile ground right now. But that can always change in the future. Hold on. So I'm still hearing about what Mnuchin is saying on TV. Okay. Now, Tim was saying, can you explain your thinking behind your ZB trades? It seems to me like you're trading the yield curve because the yield curve is constructed by the YTM of every note. I should know what YTM stands for. Yield to maturity. Okay, right. So Tim, one of the things is, especially on the financial news and everything, they'll always talk about the interest rate, right? Well, we're trading prices. So I don't specifically know at this moment in time what the yield, what the interest rate percentage is in these instruments. We could calculate it. If we wanted to go through, we could learn how to calculate it. And you're right, it's based off of the yield to maturity and the cheapest to deliver. And there's all this stuff, and they basically calculate a um, price value of a basis point, the DVO1, and then that's kind of used to calculate the yield based on the prices. But when we're here trading, we just see prices. So if I'm going to trade the yield curve, I kind of have to flip everything around in my head. That's why I have the 5-year over here and the 30-year over here, right? Because normally, I'm going to have to draw a picture here. This is a good question. It's a fun thing to talk about for me. Make some room here to take a picture. So like normally the yield curve is like this, right? 2, 5, 10, 30, and it's like this, right? But what we're trading is prices, right? So what you should get is this, correct? But then I have mine flipped around. So what I get is like this. If that makes sense. So I know that if this one goes down and this one goes up, right? That is steepening, right? Short-term rates are going lower, and higher up. Higher term rates are going up. That means that you're going from this to this. That's a steepener, right? But oh, hold on. For our purposes, it can be even more simple than that, right? So then we come over to this chart, and I can just look at which one is going further from the cost basis, right? Well, it looks like that it hasn't changed a whole lot, but you can see that the buyers in the 5 years seem to have a lot more room, right? Then I can come over here and I can kind of look at them, right? They're steepening. They're buying the 5 and they're selling the 30, essentially. Well, really, they're selling all of them, but they're selling the 30 more, right? So, um,
Tinchu says I mean if you have a view of the slope, wouldn't it be better trade the spread?
mm, yeah, Sorry, I'm gonna turn the squawk off for a second because he's talking about shit that doesn't matter right now, and he's just yapping and yapping and yapping, and it's uh, confusing me. No, so yes and no. So the thing is, if you wanted to make a spread trade, there's some real serious advantages to spread trades. One of the primary advantages being that it's easier to take a longer term trade, right? But especially for the way that I trade and the kind of account that I have, the costs of doing so is a lot, right? Because if I'm gonna do like 2 to 5 is I think the ZBZN spread right now, right? You're talking about like 7 orders. So that really, really eats into the spreading. If I'm just looking for ticks, then I think that trading them outright makes a lot more sense. And I can just trade the 10-year. 10-year has the most liquidity. I just have to be aware of what the spread is doing in order to read what's going on. Because I know that over here in the 5-year, there's going to be more buying than there is over here in the 30-year, right? When they sell it, the 30 is going to go down. So if I see a lot of orders hitting into the offer here in the 5-year and it's not breaking, I know that that's probably because of spreading action. So I can kind of discount that to some extent. So that's kind of how I use the yield curve. But because of the costs and everything like that, I prefer to just stay in the 10. Now you can also switch. So the next kind of step up would be, okay, if we're going to go down, sell it in the 30, and if we're going to go up, buy it in the 5, and kind of play the spread that way. And that works. But they each kind of have their own personality. So I found, well, and this one, the 30-year in particular, you're going to want to have more margin because tick value is worth more. And over here in the 5, you got to be careful about it because your commissions are worth a larger amount compared to what you make per tick. I prefer the 10 though because in the 10 I can actually play the cues. That makes sense. So I think you're looking at it the right way, Tin. It's just that for me, I've found that I'm much more successful if I just focus on outright trading this one. Was that a oh, I need to come back over here. Was that a satisfactory answer? I'm sorry, I was feel a little scatterbrained. I think the new squawk was just kind of a little bit too much in my ear there.
Tinchu says thanks.
Yeah, no problem. It's a good question. I mean, really, because you want to understand the way that because the banks, they don't trade these outright usually.
Tinchu says I have never been a bond guy.
No, it makes sense. I mean, that's one of the advantages here is you really get to understand the market when you're watching the bonds, right? So you understand how the banks work, you understand finance in general. So even if bonds isn't your thing, trading them for a while, watching them for a while, you get a lot of information that you can take with you when you come over here and you trade equities or whatever it is, right? It seems to me that I'm able to develop a better edge in equities than I am in treasuries. Sometimes the treasuries are doing things that I just don't understand. But I usually have a pretty good idea of why the equities are moving the way that they are. Right? So just more information about them out there, I guess. And my wrist is, I don't know what I did to it, but too much scrolling TikTok or something. So I'm thinking that the treasuries may have to come up a bit here. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if they were to come all the way up to '05, and then maybe I would go short again or more. So I'm sitting here thinking, well, maybe if I do get a tick down, I should reduce my position. So the way that the news went, I do think that we can continue to go down. It just looks like that they don't have the contracts to do it. There's a lot of contracts along, especially in the 10-year. Well, that's because there's an auction today, huh? Mm, mm, mm. So this is like a really good example. What is the interest rate going to be at the bond auction today? How do they determine that? I have no clue. I need to find somebody that is involved in bond auctions and figure out how they decide what the interest rate should be. If you know anybody.
Tinchu says supply and demand.
Supply and demand. Yeah, maybe it is just based on how much demand they're getting from their clients and so forth, and they calculate it that way. It's probably, I mean, it's going to be based on information that we don't have access to, right? Well, the equities made a pretty decent move up there, went up to the buyer cost basis and backed off. So that did move them, but it wasn't enough to move them out of balance, push them over, or whatever you would, however you'd say it. And in Discord, there somebody was posting the news about Secretary Mnuchin saying that Trump would like to do a capital gains tax cut, and A9100 was saying not zero taxes would be good. Capital gains taxes are already low. I gotta tell you, this is always the way that the markets do things, right? You'll have like we'll understand certain things. We'll understand a certain economic theory, the way that markets tend to move, right? And so because of that, we're able to manage it, right? So the next crisis always ends up going into the places that we don't understand very well. Case in point here, I remember always talking that, we want to get more people involved in markets. There's not enough people buying individual companies. We should do something like eliminate the capital gains tax so that more regular people get involved in markets because we need people to invest. That's one of the ways that we'll be able to deal with automation is if people have more ownership over companies. So we're all invested in it together. That's kind of like socialism in a way, but it's free market socialism because you're still have to buy public companies and you still have to choose which ones you think are going to be great, but we can all benefit from it as well, right? Um, but what has happened in this most recent market? Everybody's trading. Oh my gosh, you go to the subreddits, there's like 20 posts a day that are like, I'm new to trading, I don't even know how to get started. Like that's every day. Lots and lots of people looking that direction. Big demand. I really need to do a better job on that one. So I have a couple of videos that are geared towards beginners, but I don't feel like that I really did as effective of a job of
Vlad Stolyarov
convincing
says
them,
it's
you
not
know?
free market today and my parents buying stocks at highs.
Yeah. It is a government managed economy. That's true. That's true. But I mean, that's kind of the whole thing was that we did something and we got a lot of people involved in the markets. And now it's really a problem. Because it used to be, hey, you know what? We're not investing enough. If we really want to get over 4% growth, we're going to need to invest and get those technology efficiency gains. That's where it comes from, right? But if everybody is putting their money into stocks and investment and nobody is actually buying stuff, then it doesn't work. So it went too
Tin
far, you
Chu
know?
says it has been a very long bull run since 2009.
Yeah, it has. So it's kind of funny. It's not like my own economic theory was wrong per se, but it was like the market just will always find that crack in the theories, right? Okay. Yes, it is good to invest, but you can go too far with it. We've gone too far with it, right? Where is the growth going to come from? People need to buy things. So they're a pretty good iceberg at O2. They ticked up though at O2 half. There's a pretty big iceberg too. I can see the E-mini pulled back and they're trying to make them a move up again. Okay. O2 is pulling. Let's see if they clear it this time. Okay. That time there wasn't an iceberg there. Doesn't mean that it can't tick up, but these are the sorts of changes that we want to see, right? They were iceberging there. It's not there anymore. Are they able to clear a one half without a ton of volume either? It looks like they're probably going to berg a little bit, and there might at least be 2,000 there, if not 3. And now we're kind of in this situation that nobody knows what's going to happen. Well, maybe it's going to be a lot more than 3. I mean, if they got 2615 right there right now, and there's 1,000 stacking, right? Then that could mean that there's a much larger iceberg in there. Seven. Hmm. As the Mediterranean disputes grow between Turkey and Greece and Egypt, the map helps explain the overlapping claims Turkey is trying to assert a new reality at sea through exploration and surveys. Egypt, Greece, and many other countries, including Israel and EU, are concerned of the ramifications. That Turkey just it.
Trader Josh says good morning.
Hey, Josh, how are you? Where have you been? What have you been up to, man? It's been a while. Mm-mm.
Trader Josh says army training.
Oh, really? What are you going to be doing in the army? Do you have a special? They call them specialties in the army, right? What are you going to be doing there? uh, they talk about API. They're talking about oil.
Trader Josh says it's MOS. I'm an active duty 1SG.
1SG. Specialty must be like the Marines or something like that.
Trader
Okay.
Josh says First Sergeant.
First sergeant. So that's more of a leadership position. I get you. But aren't there like different kinds of units though, like infantry and artillery and that sort of thing?
Trader Josh says yes, I'm a recruiter.
Oh, okay. You're gonna come and try and
Ask Our
recruit
Money
me?
Machine says hello. How do you think? Yesterday dip will be bought and MKT will continue moving higher.
Well, I don't
Trader
know if.
Josh says 79R.
Okay, yeah. So Askar, I don't know if we're going to move higher or not. Um, my own reading of the news right now is I think that sentiment is a little depressed, but there's this inflation information out there too that the market has to price in. So I don't know where that puts equities, if that means that equities can move higher or not. I do think that the move that we had yesterday was overdone. I think that the amount that it moved had a lot more to do with how many positions were on at the time that that news hit, rather than the market pricing things. So it could go a number of ways. That's why I'm way more interested in trying to get working a position here in the Treasury rather than the E-mini, because in the Treasury I know that the fundamentals are all putting pressure on them down. That's interesting. The recruiter. I was hearing that there were recruiters who were going through and trying to recruit people on Twitch and stuff, which was I thought was kind of funny. I've always like I think that I would be very bad at the military. So we put it that way. Uh, but I'm kind of jealous of them too. Like I don't think that my life or anything about the way that I have things set up would be very conducive to the military kind of life. But I admire people that go through it. It looks cool. It looks fun. And I watch a lot of stuff. I'm interested in things that are have to do with, like, I don't know. Let's say anything government related. So like I love to watch stuff about nuclear power plants, nuclear weapons, national security, the way that the
Trader Josh
military
says lol.
works.
We are trying new things with this COVID environment.
Are you? Is everybody still has to be doing social distancing and stuff? Man, it makes me wonder because people are really
Chin Chu says
going,
every man in my
you
country
know.
needs to do conscription.
Oh, really? Maybe they should do that in the United States. That would certainly change a lot of people's outlook on things, wouldn't it? Although maybe not necessarily in the way that people think. I think a lot of people think if everybody had to serve in the military, people would be more
Trader Josh
conservative.
says yeah, it's hard time right now.
I don't think that that's necessarily true. I actually found that the more involved that government is in people's life, that the more Democrat that they become, because they feel like uh, they see government as a necessary thing, and they want more control over it. They want it to be done better. So it's kind of a counterintuitive thing. Like in New York, I remember when I lived in New York for like 6 weeks training for a large bank. when I was hired just out of school. And all of the sudden, all of the things that the liberals would say and their take on issues made so much more sense because you can't go anywhere in New York without seeing the state. Like there was so much police presence and stuff everywhere. It was like a Disneyland for adults, is how I felt about New York. And it was largely because they had such a strong police presence, you know? And like that, all of a sudden I understood why stop and frisk was such a big deal and, why people are always pushing to increase government because they see, oh, okay, like a big problem in my city is homeless people sitting around on the street. How do we fix that? Well, we can get the government to do something about it. It's like the government, all of a sudden you see the government in your life everywhere and it starts making you think more Democrat, which is counterintuitive because probably in places like that, the thing that they probably need the most is less government or more local government at least. Oh, let's see. I have to type something. When it comes to new home sales, August is the new May, keeping agents busy into the fall, really. So this is another thing that I think is so interesting about coronavirus. Can we go into this? Do you guys know anything about this? Apparently, everybody in LA and New York are leaving. So I guess most people in New York, well, rich people in New York, have two houses anyways. So they just like sold their house in New York and moved. And because everything is going like, virtual office and everything, they can do that and keep their job. They're all fleeing New York and LA. And the real estate market is actually not doing that badly. I thought, oh, it should be terrible right now, but apparently it's not actually that bad. It's not a buyer's market, at least. Tropical Depression 11 could become earliest J storm on record. What does that mean? Okay. Apparently that just means that its name starts with a J. It's weird. Okay, so they did come up. Like I was saying, like maybe '05. Well, I'm gonna bet based on how the algorithms tend to work, the momentum, and I think the retail trader and mentality and everything like that, I'm starting to think that probably they will try buying it up today. We'll see if they're able to pull it out or not. No, we haven't had a whole lot of unexpected news yet today, have we? Secretary Pompeo says China's world dominance is not inevitable. We are the authors of our fate. Free societies have the more attractive way of life. The resolve of freedom loving people all over the world to defend their way of life is growing in strength. Dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Well, there is some resistance up here. I don't know if it's enough. And look at there's that iceberging at 03.5. So that's curious to see it iceberging rising. What is this? Discovery Group reposting something that these protesters say vultures at the Chicago Board of Trade prey on the world's hungry. Hmm. Oh, this guy looks interesting. Oh, this guy actually is in the pit and he's showing pictures of people in the pit with face masks on. You see that? I have not seen this. Oh, that's so interesting. Cool. Oh, this guy is promoting a movie about trading in the pit. That's cool. That you can buy on Amazon. Currently unavailable to watch in your location. Oh, it's only $2.99. At least for I think that must be for viewing. Okay, so I'm gonna reset things. Okay, well, I am seeing some profit taking here. So I think I'm going to take that. They seem to be lowering and everything. Rabobank, if Gunlock is right, November is going to provide quite the shock again. Jeffrey Gunlock was still saying that he thinks it will revisit the March lows. Can you believe that? Okay, so I'm going to risk to here. Okay, so they traded through '05 and there was not a lot of volume there. Or let me take that back. Some of that volume pulled. The 5-year is crossing. Okay. Crossed it, they didn't go. He sold it. Oh, was something else I was going to say that I forgot. Have you guys ever been to futuresmag.com? You go there and they've got like, oh, what? This is supposed to be like this super serious financial industry, and you're using like a almost a Comic Sans looking font for your logo. What? Like seriously, what? Well, we got 5 minutes to the equities open. And I'm getting lots of people that are messaging me about like, oh, we want to do this thing or that thing. We're trying to affiliate with Discord servers. And I'm like, nope, nope, nope. Somebody the other day was trying to get together with the Discord to sell his automated trading strategy. And actually, his back-tested results looked pretty good, but they were like on a really short time frame. No thanks. All right, well, I'm gonna try and jump out of that. There. It looks like I was just straight up wrong. Must be something about the auction. There must be a higher demand for the auction, and that's canceling out the CPI reading. I don't know.
Tinchu says, hi Seth, since you are good at programming, why don't you do automated trading?
Oh, that's a really good question, Tin. Because I don't believe that. Well, let me rephrase that. Um, my own backtesting and exploration into automated trading um, leads me to believe that there's extremely limited edge that you can actually gain from purely technical information. Even when you're including things as advanced as order flow, I've had a really hard time getting strategies that are consistently profitable. Like I'll have things that maybe it'll be profitable that year, but like year after year, not really. It's very hard. And I really think that the automated trading, it's like to be successful with it, you've probably got to be doing like the high frequency trading and stuff like that. So that's why I've kind of used my programming is more like I think that the edge is you. I think the edge is you and your understanding of the market. And you know, I trade it that way and I rely on news primarily and I use the programming and stuff to just kind of give me little edges that help me do that better. Does that make sense? So if there's something that can help me enter my orders more efficiently, if there's something that can help me see what the market positioning is more effectively, but when I take a trade, I want it to be off of something fundamental, right?
Tinchu says, I think order flow is hard to backtest accurately.
It is hard. You're right. Um, I mean, you can backtest it in Jigsaw, but it takes a really long time. I think to really do some of the backtesting that I want to do, I think I need like more memory and a better processor. But I think mostly more memory because I was backtesting this weekend and I was using 86% on some of my backtests. So I think I need more RAM.
Tinchu says, as have been automated for a long time. Still, time order flow is the way to go.
Okay, so here they go. They did go further than I thought they would in the Treasury. So that's a little curious. I'm wondering now. Oh, okay. The seller is dumping. That's interesting. Well, it's a pretty good buy on the open in the E-mini, isn't it?
Tinchu says eating through all those limited orders.
Yeah. It looks I don't know. Hmm. Reset this. Just looking at it right there, it doesn't look like the volume is that extreme, you know? Ooh, look at the NASDAQ. Always being cray cray. Hmm. Ah. Yeah, it's a cryptocurrency. This guy is trying to get me involved in a cryptocurrency trading app. Hmm. I wonder. Okay. So note that how much is stacked on top of us at 07.5. Based upon where high yield bonds are trading, equities are worth infinity. And Zero Hedge tweets, has high yield considered a 5-to-1 stock split? I think that's hilarious that doing a split has been causing these companies to move up. Because for years and years and years, these companies all refused to do stock splits because I don't know, they liked the prestige of having a high stock price. I know, it was kind of weird. All of a sudden, it's just like, eh. Okay. So at 05 half, a little bit of defense being played. Even he's still going.
Algo Lover says 9:23 a.m. Algo Lover S bullish above 3319.50 greater than 3401 target.
Oh,
If
really?
3319.50 breaks before that target trades, then anticipate a deeper pullback nerd face. Algo Lover says 9:29 a.m. Algo Lover CL buyers need to regain bid above 42.75 for continuation. If not, then anticipate another down rotation nerd face.
What about gold? What about gold? I think that's the most interesting momentum play right now, yeah. I'm a little skeptical about this move up in the mini right here. This might flip around. In fact, I'm getting enough that I could
Algo
take a
Lover
couple
says
trades.
9:26 a.m. Algo Lover GC if sellers hold this bounce below 2007.50, then anticipate another down rotation. A bid hold back above 2007.50 WLDB bullish nerd face.
Okay. Well, that's well, it's not that high above us. It's a good $50 above
Algo
us.
Lover says you ask, you receive tears of joy.
I thought it was going to be a closer price, or that there'd be like kind of like a downside target. But I had some guys really wanted to do what they really think 1800, but cool, but no thanks. Mm. So I'm seeing them hit up into some people's positions from yesterday. That was like the stop out. We'll see if they pick up new people or not. I don't think that I need to go that far. I can bring that stop in a little bit. We will be watching you Dems put media on notice to avoid racist tropes such as angry black woman. I don't think that the angry black woman take from Kamala Harris will necessarily work unless she really goes overboard with the vice president is the attack dog role. I think it's the Kamala Harris is only where she is today because she
Algo Lover
slept with
says July
people.
6, 12:16 p.m. Algo Lover note. Big picture. S above
Mm,
2912.50 buyers Lee. Targets 3352. If 2912.50 breaks before that larger target trades, then anticipate more selling nerd face completed this week thumbs up.
cool. I think that the whole thing that she's only where she is today because she slept with the mayor of San Francisco is probably going to be the personality trope that they're going to push. I don't think that Republicans. I think Republicans are much more favorable to. How do I put this? Um, I think that they're more likely to use the strategy that she's a diversity hire because you always the attack is always either um, you're evil or you're stupid. I think that they're going to try and go with that she's stupid, which will be a hard one to press, but I think that that is more attractive to them.
Algo Lover says HAGD. Thumbs up.
Could be wrong though. See what they do. Okay, so I am not surprised that they're coming back up a little bit here. In fact, I was a little bit surprised when they traded below the '06 so quickly. GDP numbers this morning confirmed the UK economy shrunk 20% in the second quarter. I knew that, but I never read it out on stream. Would be a good one to remember that the UK is doing the worst. They were kind of hit the first and the hardest, weren't they? Hmm. Okay, so in the E-mini, the first impulse was up. The cumulative delta on that
Sunday
move is
driver
coming
says
out
go
very
Joe.
quickly. Hi, Sunday. And it looks like we're going to come down and test the other side now.
Tin Chu says I already scalped 3S trades by now.
Oh, really? I like these days I'm maybe doing 2 or 3 trades a day. Um And a lot of them are just like multiple attempts on the same trade. Okay, taking the 10-year. Still not seeing people hit into 07.5 though. Okay, that was some extreme buying there in the NASDAQ out of nowhere. Bail on that one. There must be that might be some news coming through. Because they just retraced that whole thing out of nowhere. Well, I'm not hearing anything on my squawk. News on Fox Business earlier, deal prospects. I can't speculate if the Democrats are willing to be reasonable. There's compromise. If the Democrats are focused on politics and don't want to do anything that's going to succeed for the president, there won't be a deal. Hmm. Wish there was a better explanation for what the catalyst was over here in the E-mini. They turned around so quickly. So sure it was going pretty good. Let's see here. That turned right back around. Well, that's not a place that I can play. Mm-mm. Feds Rosengren is speaking at the top of the hour. I guess they're going to release a text. Taiwan president, we are willing to start talks on a free trade pact with the U.S. We don't already have one of those with Taiwan? Look at the NASDAQ. What is this? NASDAQ trying to push higher. E-mini. Okay. It seems like something's going on, but I'm not seeing any news or anything. It may just be trade. There, the NASDAQ, another. It looks like they're following. Okay. Overall, cumulative delta is short.
Ask Our Money Machine says what you think of Goldman MKT cap as 79B, debt 398B, but cash is 540B. So what is their plan? They wait Fed to inflate it. What are thoughts?
So, I don't really know a whole lot about their assets. I mean, the whole thing is their assets are their assets, and that will move their price along with the markets as those assets change. And I don't know what those are. And I understand that's a critical part of the piece. But if I was going to invest in a company, I would be looking more for to invest on the company itself. Goldman is trying to make inroads into retail banking. So I think that in the future, there is some potential for some significant growth in Goldman, but it's going to take them a long time to get it. So, and JP Morgan tends to be the favored bank right now. So I don't know if Goldman's prospects in the short term are super amazing, but I do like what they're doing. I like who's in charge over there. So I think in the longer run that there's some interesting opportunities, but that's the most that I can say about it. Mm-mm. He's still pushing into those highs, and the way that they're doing it, it looks like they're gonna stop out a bunch of guys. Yeah, there's a stop run.
AA says gold is moving insanely. What's the play?
Oh, they're not really moving that fast right now, are
Winston's
they?
mom says good morning. Speculator Seth and all 44 watching
Hey,
now.
there's Win.
Good crowd, this morning. Have I missed anything?
Whoa, wait, there's 44 people watching right now? I did not notice. It's funny because we've been pretty quiet this morning, but thank you guys for all tuning in. We'll see if this, I don't know, my trade in the E-mini didn't really work out. I might try that one again if it comes up a little further. Our trade in the Treasury, it's not done yet, but so far I'm a little disappointed in it. So they're going to have to come like all the way back. We'll see. It does look like that whatever the supply was that pushed us up is abated, but I haven't seen the book like flip yet or anything like that.
AA says is Powell going to unleash the bazooka again?
I don't think so. I think if anything, the numbers seem to be showing that everything's working and they're just gonna want to hold the course. I mean, they're getting the inflation, so
Winston's mom says Trader Josh, you are Army. I was Air Force, a 1C3 or in my day, a 274. I was at MacDill with SOCOM when I retired. Are you currently assigned to a recruiting station?
how high you think this move in the E-mini can go, huh? I see this R1 is coinciding with some stops. Or rather, a location which I anticipate could have a lot of stops. It's not like I can see people's stops or anything like that. But an area that I anticipate there should be some stops. So I think that we're going to try and go into that R1. Now, where does that correlate with yesterday's action? Yes. Let's see. So anybody that was still short from yesterday would still be safe above that R1. Now the treasuries are selling, but I'm still seeing lots of iceberging on the bid. And I'm not seeing a ton of contracts being picked up on the short side. Sure is a lot of trade coming through, though. And the buying in the E-mini looks kind of manic, don't you think? Like, just look at the way that they eat into the next level and so forth. There's I don't know. There's only like 235 up there.
Salim L says I am not trading today. I don't feel like it.
Yeah, well, Salim, with that CPI number would have normally been a really good driver. We didn't really get that one didn't really work out, and then since then we haven't had a whole lot of fundamental drivers. It's kind of like a hangover from yesterday, right?
Kevin Wimmer says man this Chewy in your Discord is an interesting fellow. Every day I am reading now how he is justifying his short position and still holding to it and clinging to your idea. 100 points against you should.
I know, right? So, yeah.
Kevin Wimmer says be a pretty good indication that you are wrong.
Did he hold it that long? I haven't been paying attention. So he had a trade on the other day or a time ago that was like he held it over the weekend in a loss, and it was like it was.
AA says can you please share your auction vista dom xml?
Let me see if I can.
Kevin Wimmer says he said his average was 3,276. 2 contracts and still holding it.
No, he's still short from that one? Well, yeah. So he got put into the elite because he showed me some results and they were positive, but yeah, I feel exactly the same way, Kevin. It, hold on. I guess Feds Rosengreen hasn't started speaking yet. I think that there's supposed to be an embargoed text come out, but I haven't seen that yet. Yeah, I think that a lot of what he's doing is just he won't give up on a trade. He says that he has a certain amount of risk set and all of that. And he does seem to be holding to it. But you're right. There's like the amount that he is willing to let the market move is like way too much. So I really didn't want to. No offense to Chewy because I
Tin
like
Chu
him.
says, trade what you see. Invest in what you believe. You don't invest in such leveraged derivatives.
I mean, I don't. I like him. I've spoken with him quite a bit. But I was kind of didn't want to make him an elite because I was kind of seeing that, and he was doing a lot of things that I just simply cannot recommend. But deal is a deal. He showed me this stuff, and I gave it to him. The deal is if you can show me a month's worth of profitable trading, then we'll give you the elite. And he did, so we gave it to him. But you know what? It's a good lesson.
Celine L
It
says, let
shows
me set
you.
things straight. Long-term trading is not trading. Trades happen at the millisecond bouts.
I think
AA
it
says what
is.
is the elite.
Yeah, AA. Hold on. I made a mistake. This is really what it is. Sorry, there's a lot going on. Hold on. My Yeah. So I made a bit of a mistake here, right? So the mistake is this. I used to think that you follow other people in trading. That it was like there's so much I don't know and I kind of have to rely on other large traders, and so I just want to identify the large traders and go with them. And so one of the things that we started with in the Discord when we made it, and the Discord existed before the YouTube channel, was, hey, if somebody has been around for a while and they have some success, we should give them a different color name so that people know that maybe that's somebody you can watch, right? So, and I didn't set the bar super high because people don't like to show their results. But I said, if you just show to me privately broker statements for a month that shows that you made money that month, then we'll give you the green name. That's all it is it's a green name. And you'll show up under elite in the Discord. Discord link is in the video description below. So I did that, and like we were saying, there's this somewhat newer guy named Chewy that makes a couple of trades that uh, kind of breaks my own recommendations for risk management. But he was doing well, and he showed me the broker statements, and those are real trades that he's making. But see, the whole mistake that I made was I thought, you should be, watch other people. And what I realized since then is no. Like there are big traders, and you do kind of want to follow big traders, but you want to take the trade that they're going to make before they even realize it, before you can see it. Once you see it, once you start really can conclusively say, big trader A is doing X, it's too late. You get what I mean? So you don't want to follow people. And it was, what do you know? Because of that, because I had promoted that idea, you can see the situation that it got me into. So it's Chewy's. Now, I don't think that it's a problem because you guys are all independent, and you know many people question him. And if he gets a really bad trade or takes a really bad loss or blows out or something, then we can move him into the degenerate gambler category. I'm, but I want to stay consistent with it. So, but back to the thing, what you said, Kevin. You're so right. In this environment, a long-term trade like that, especially short, does not, based off of purely technical analysis, which is what he does not make much sense to me. But hey, he's been doing it. He's been getting away with it. Maybe he'll get away with it this time, Kevin. Who knows? You say he was short from 32.76? Yeah. Like, the thing that I think is crazy is, like, to me, if it goes like 10 handles, you're wrong. 10 handles is a lot. But whatever.
AA says lol, the WSB category open mouth smile.
Kind of feels like what it is to me. Like, here's a question for you guys. I guess we got a good number of people watching, maybe a couple of new people. So here's the question to think about. What is the difference between trading and gambling? Or, like, to be more specific, what is the difference between trading and poker? Because you can have an edge in poker, right? I think that the thing is, people always say the difference between trading and gambling is that in gambling, the house always has an edge on you. Well, for most traders, the house has an edge over you, guys. The market makers have an edge over you, and you're still trading it. What's the difference? Now, I say poker because in poker, you can have an edge versus the house. You can be good at playing poker, right? So, but poker is still gambling, isn't it? Even though it's skill-based. So what's the difference between trading and playing poker?
Winston's mom says, what is the difference between trading and poker? At the poker table, girls will bring you cocktails.
You're right. Well,
Kevin Wimmer says the difference is that you don't need a broker lol.
right. So here's what I think the difference is. In trading, the cards aren't random. That's what I think the difference is. See, here in trading, the board, the cards that you get, you can have an influence on those, right? I make a decision. I say, okay, the CPI is high. Treasuries, interest rates need to increase a little bit. They're too low. Getting too much inflation, right? And I can do that. And if I do that and everybody else collectively does that, then that becomes a thing. It's almost like we create the reality through our decisions, right? The amount of money that you have, that's all 100% up to you. And yes, there's news, but the news isn't random. The news is reality. It might seem random to us, but it's not random. Whereas in poker, the cards that you're dealt are supposed to be random. That to me is the difference, right? So if that's the difference, then if you're trading and you're trading purely off of what I would call technicals, which is reading market generated information and making your decisions purely based off of that, then there really is no difference between what you're doing and playing poker. You might as well go and play poker. You might be better at it. But if you are taking into account what's really happening on the ground, the fundamentals, the news, and you're trying to read news and make decisions about what assets should be doing based on news, then you're not playing poker anymore. So that is my approach. I believe that the reason the vast majority of retail traders lose, because by just the statistics of it, most people are going to have to lose. But should it be 95%? I don't think it should be 95%. I think we could get that to like 70% of traders, right? And why is it so high? I believe it's because the majority of retail traders are trading purely off of technicals. And when you're trading purely off of technicals, what you're really doing is you're just trying to follow other people. So you're always going to be late to the trade. Once you can see it in the market, he's already made his trade, right? No. You want to read the data, read the situation, read people's positionings, make the trade before the big trader does it, before the market tells you that that's what's happening. That's my take.
Dan H says if you can find a positive expectancy, then you are trying to win over time.
Sure. And my take on that is you can be profitable trading technicals. It's very, very difficult though. Just like you can be profitable playing poker and you can get good at playing poker, but the chances of you actually being successful at that over the long term is extremely slim. Right?
Gorilla Digits says trading is like poker where you get to see the flop, turn, river, and one of your opponent's whole cards
Yeah.
before you get to put any money in.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I think is interesting about the whole poker analogy is that once you get into the way that poker is played, then you get to see the metagame, right? Because the metagame is a huge part of it. Is like really good players, they know the probabilities and things like that. And so really they're kind of playing this game where it's like, I want to take the I'm really really cautious, and then all of a sudden, so have you ever watched Molly's game? Yes, that's what it is, Molly's game. And there's this one guy, he's really really good, and he has this situation where he knows that things are really in his favor. And there's this other guy that doesn't know anything. And this other guy that doesn't know anything just happened to catch a lucky trade. And he won, even though the odds weren't in his favor. And it was against the metagame, right? So then he comes along, this guy like starts tilting. And this situation comes up again. And so he says, oh, well, last time it didn't work. So I'm going to change it around and go the other way. And he goes the other way and he loses again. And this time he loses like really, really, really big. And that's like the end of him, right? It's the metagame. And a lot of people don't consider the metagame in trading, because if there's an edge, if you have a technical setup and it works, then what's going to happen is everybody else is going to start to pick up on it, especially if it's a really, really, really effective edge. Other people are going to start picking up on it. And then that's going to reduce that edge over time. So then it's like everybody's using that strategy. Then it kind of makes sense to trade against the strategy, right? And then you go in these cycles, these metagame cycles. And that's why you'll get things where it's like your strategy will work really well for a certain period of time. And then all of a sudden everything changes and it like never works ever. It's the metagame.
Gorilla Digits says poker players are taking a mathematical advantage over time.
Mm-hmm.
I play poker semi-professionally.
Well, but that's the thing is that alone won't get you up to the top levels, right? That won't make you the best poker player in the world. Be the best poker player in the world, you also have to understand the metagame. Because at that level, everybody understands the probabilities and odds, The time frames of poker take months and months to read. Yeah, well, that's true. But again, the point was, if you're trading purely off of technicals, I think that it's the same thing as playing poker. And that doesn't mean that there can't be an edge in it and that you can't make money doing it. Because I think that we incorrectly believe that like gambling is wrong because it means that you're going to lose your money or something like that. I'm not so sure that that's why gambling is wrong. Or I'm not even sure I think if anything, the only reason gambling is wrong is because it um, preys upon certain people's psyches to cause them to give up money. And in that case, there are a lot of sections of trading that are wrong is just as wrong as well. Mm-mm.
Winston's mom says Tin Chu, famed bedroom trader, reveals his wealth secrets as he guns for $1 billion. Article from Bloomberg in the Japan Times. The former video game champion and pachinko gambler goes by the name Sis.
Yeah. There are people that have made significant sums of money by discovering an edge of some sort that's technical in nature and just really running it and making a ton of money. It happens.
Chichikov says in
Hmm,
trading you have to play the man, whereas in poker sometimes you can get away with playing the cards.
maybe. The thing that I just noticed, so yesterday was a really good example. Um, this deal, this stimulus bill deal, it's dead, guys. Donald Trump came in, he said in these executive orders they're running, the Republicans not necessarily happy about it, but like it is what it is, and they're just kind of running along with it. And they're gonna let that play out. And they don't see any reason to try and change it. Because they in their minds, the economy is doing well, markets are still near all-time highs. What do you need stimulus for? Like honestly, think about it. $3 trillion stimulus, because these last ones were like $1-2 trillion, right? This will be the third stimulus, $1 trillion. I remember talking on this stream when they said $1 trillion stimulus. I was like, what, really? How can it be that high? That is insane. Like, is that really for real? Like, we didn't believe it, right? And now we're doing 3 trillion on a third stimulus. How do you get senators to vote for that? Especially when the market is at all-time highs and is basically like the deal didn't happen, the unemployment benefits are lapsing. Nothing no disaster has happened yet. How do you get them to vote on it? I don't think you can. I think that you have to have something has to change if you're going to get those votes. And so guess what? They're like not even talking right now. But apparently yesterday, the market didn't know this. This just seems like no duh to me. I mean, we spoke about it so much yesterday. No duh. But nevertheless, in the late afternoon, when McConnell said that the deal was basically dead, the market just went on a total bender. These guys, they were long and they were surprised by the news and they completely puked. So, what is the point of that? Markets aren't that efficient. The efficient market hypothesis is bullshit. The idea that the market prices is all new information in almost instantaneously is, from my observations, complete nonsense. We can watch the markets go several days, weeks, in complete denial of the reality on the ground. And it takes time for them to realize it. And if you are following the news, you understand what's going on. You understand the way that people trade and how different participants interact with the markets. You can gain an edge in there and you can try and make the markets more efficient, I think. And I think that you're a lot more likely to be successful doing that than to try and find the technical edge that nobody else has discovered yet that's hidden in there. Because, I mean, a lot of people try and they don't find it, right? Mm-mm.
Winston's mom says I am reading Kevin McCarthy, who has always been fiscally conservative, as the holdup. He
Mm.
doesn't want to spend any money while Mnuchin is trying to negotiate middle ground.
I think that's a really big part of it, Win, but you also got to realize that there is a, like Ted Cruz, he was arguing about it on the Senate floor yesterday. He was saying like, he was talking about there's no magic money tree. This money has to come from somewhere, and where it's really coming from is from future growth. He's right. And they got mad at him. They said, "This isn't a joke. People's livelihoods are on the line." Well, then you better get a job. I don't know what to tell you. It's not funny. It's unfortunate, but probably the reality is that some people are going to have to feel pain in order to get things back on the road again. Some people are going to have to feel some pain because we can't just continue to run everything on debt forever, right? But that wasn't the point of all that. The point was the market's not that efficient. Mm-mm.
Kevin Wimmer says I always find it incredible how fast things change. Yesterday night after the close I thought, oh maybe we get some downtrend. Then we had this bullish overnight and almost back to yesterday's high.
Oh yeah, I was kind of feeling the same way, Kevin. But that move yesterday was a little overdone. So the thing that's funny about it is that then because they were up in the overnight, then all of the robots they just want to buy, and they were talking about it on the news squawk earlier. They were saying, well, so we're seeing the Nasdaq is really, really running hard, but we don't see any fundamental drivers for it. And so I think that what has happened is all of the programs have just triggered and say, okay, we should be buying, even though there's not any actual reason to buy.
Salim L says don't you dare criticize the best president ever. Trump. Shotgun.
I don't think that. Well, whether he's the best president ever or not is not really relevant. But we all have our own opinion on that. All I can say on that, because I know we've been like super political lately, and today is probably not the right time to be super political. All I can say is just like sometimes you're just along for the ride and just enjoy the ride, guys, because until the election comes along, there's not a whole lot you can do about it, right?
Analytics says US owes so much money. Countries are afraid not lend it more money for fear of losing their investment if the US collapses.
So I hear you, but I don't really see that happening yet. The demand, like these auctions have been going really well. They're putting out a record amount of treasury bills, and the auctions are going really well. I think the thing that we have to remember is that the Federal Reserve's actions actually creates a dollar shortage and actually creates that demand for the treasuries. Like the banks want them. They have to have them. They can't get enough of it because of the financial environment. That's why we keep getting this deflationary spiral.
Kevin Wimmer says I want Kanye West for president. America do it. For the lulz. RJ Wheel says they are getting ready to give George Washington a hair weave and turn him into Trump on Mount Rushmore. Winston's mom says I'm reading Bloomberg and Trump donated to Kay Harris in 2011 and 2013.
It's my understanding
Looks like
as well.
the Lincoln Project has another commercial. Last night on Tucker, he kept mispronouncing her name, on purpose.
Camel, maybe he did I don't know. Hold on. Oh yes, we got the oil inventories at the bottom of the hour.
Salim L says the US will collapse after the whole world collapses. Don't worry.
Sunday Driver says MMT coming.
We'll see. I mean, the thing is that they actually did get inflation this time. Now, whether they'll be able to get more inflation over the next 6 months remains to be seen. But at least today, there's some inflation. Yeah, okay. Never got filled at 07.5. Do you think that I should have taken it in? Because if I had taken it in, then I could be getting out now. And I don't know if they're going to go all the way back down or not. I see at 22.25 in the 5-year might be a downside target here. The whole Kamala Harris thing is so interesting because it's such a conventional pick. You would think, oh, okay, like anything that Kamala Harris could bring to the ticket would already be like quote unquote priced in, but not really. It's one of those things that it's like you really can't really know the implications of it until you've done it, right? The thing that's so interesting, and I was kind of trying to point this out in my stream yesterday, is that Kamala Harris has a lot of negatives and possible attack avenues against her character that I think as traders we should be aware of, just because I don't know for sure, but at some point it might become relevant, you know? Do you have a cure for trading back and neck pain? So if your neck hurts, then you probably have your monitor set wrong. So you want to have the ergonomics. You want all of your joints, your knees and your elbows and everything when you're sitting in your chair straight at right angles. And your head should be just slightly down. You notice my head is just slightly down. But you don't want to be looking like this. You don't want to be looking like this. Just head straight, 10 degrees down, and have a good chair.
Analytics says the Biden-Harris ticket lacks serious brain power.
It's interesting you say that, Annalie. We were talking about this earlier. I was saying, what avenue of attack are the Republicans going to use against Kamala Harris? Normally, the vice president is supposed to be the attack dog. They make all of the attacks that the president can't do. In this case, Kamala Harris maybe actually be president because a lot of people don't think that Biden will last 4 years, which is crazy, right? And a lot of people don't think that he'll run for a second term. So then it's President Kamala Harris at that point, right? So will Republicans use the angry black woman is just attacking too hard and that sort of a thing? And my response is, I think no. I think that the other avenue of attack is that they're dumb. Those are the two most potent personal attacks, right? You're evil or you're dumb. And you notice how with Donald Trump they can't seem to figure out which one they think it is, because they're contradictory to each other, right? If you're evil, then you can't be dumb because you're effective, and that's what makes you evil. But right, so they can't decide which one they want with Trump. I think that because of the Republicans' worldview and what they think about Kamala, that they're more likely to go for the she's not that bright. I think that's the way that they're going to go for her. So for you to come in here, Analytic, which I'm going to assume just from your not only from what you just said there, but also the way that our demographic tends to go, because we're market-based people. Democrats usually don't make it because they just don't believe the things that are necessary to be successful at trading, frankly. Not very many of them make it as retail traders. So it's interesting that you say that, because that kind of confirms my theory that Republicans are more likely to say that she's dumb.
Jackson O'Leary says Trump needs a name for Kamala Harris like
Yeah.
Sleepy Joe.
Well, now the interesting thing on that one is, which way do you go? Because there's already a nickname for her, kind of. The Donald Trump supporters are saying it's Joe and Ho 2020. Which probably isn't appropriate for YouTube, but that's what they're pushing. That's what I was seeing on the Donald and everything else like that. That's the direction I think they're branding her, you know? We'll see where Donald Trump takes it, though.
Winston's mom says he uses nasty when talking about women. I think we will see a push to convince everyone she is far extreme left, a puppet for AOC, and was once taken up in an alien spaceship with giraffes.
I think so too, Win. I think you're right. It's kind of funny because a lot of people on the left, like we saw this in the stream yesterday, right? That people on the left say, Kamala Harris is a mainstream Democrat. But then there's people like me and you look at it and we're like, no, Kamala is pretty far left. She has like one of the most progressive voting records, guys. She is the far left. It's kind of interesting because it's such a, I think that they really, the diversity hire narrative, I think that there's probably a lot of truth to this, Because here's the thing. If you say it needs to be a black woman, there's only like 3 choices. And guess what? They all have big negatives associated with them. That doesn't mean that they're stupid or that they wouldn't make good presidents or that they're not qualified for the position. It's just like with Kamala Harris, for instance. We shared in the thing, there's like 4 major candidate destroying attacks that you can make on her. And you could see in the debates, these were used against her and they completely decimated her campaign, right? What are you going to do? Not pick a black woman, probably, and go and find somebody that's like way more milquetoast. Pete. Probably your choice should be Pete Buttigieg. He's the one that would be like the least objectionable guy that people think, okay, he's competent. It gives your campaign all of the things that you need and avoids the really bad negatives. But then you look at Kamala Harris as a pick. I don't think it's probably the right choice for them, but I don't think that it really adds a whole lot to the campaign. It doesn't address any of Joe Biden's vulnerabilities other than that I don't think anybody thinks that she's going to die and she does appear to be competent. But other than that, it doesn't resolve any of their problems. Yeah, PRT says once she is a corrupt politician. Her career started from political favors from basically her boyfriend that she was having an illicit relationship with. So the attack that Joe Biden is corrupt, well, that doesn't help by adding Kamala Harris. The assertion is that Joe Biden is beholden to the far left. That doesn't help if you pick Kamala Harris. Would have been fixed if you had picked Pete Buttigieg, because even though Pete Buttigieg is far left, moderates seem to not think so. You get what I mean? It's kind of interesting. So it's like, how can a choice that is so standard, the standard right choice, be so wrong? I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm just, Anyways, it's an interesting pick. It'll be interesting
Kevin
to see
Wimmer
go.
says the funny thing to me is, what most of you Americans tell me is left is pretty moderate here in Germany.
Oh, sure.
Like CDU stances. I guess the problem of having only 2 real parties, not counting the Jill one.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing, is that the left is more fractured. We go here, and this is left, and this is right, okay? And we can say that this is like, in the United States, this is probably like 45 and 55, really. The reason why conservatives are able to win is because the left makes mistakes or because the left just doesn't come out and vote, okay? If you say that that is the spread of things, when we look at how the parties are split up, okay, there's like this moderate Republican group right here like this. And then there are the libertarians, which is kind of a small piece like this. And there's the religious conservatives, which used to be a big piece, but is getting smaller and it's a piece like this, right? If we look at the Democrats, you've got the moderate Democrats, which are really, frankly, just like the moderate Republicans. And then you've got the Clinton faction. You've got the Marxist faction. You've got the we just really like benefits faction. You've got the pro-labor faction. You've got, right? So if all of these split out into these separate parties, then who ends up winning? The moderate Republicans end up winning. Well, sorry, not the moderate Republicans. Just the in the middle moderate. Let me back up here. Who ends up winning? You'll get this section end up winning, right? Is you'll get some combination of moderates with the we like socialism and labor, and these end up winning, and you get these Republicans. These are a large enough section of it that they like split off. So in European, basically, I didn't explain that very well. I didn't explain that very well, but I guess my point is that when you have multiple political parties, it's a lot easier for the socialist parties to win. Right. It'll either become the Socialist Party or the moderate conservatives. like it is in the UK. But because in the United States, we force them into a two-party system, the two-party system essentially keeps socialism at bay, or at least up until now has. Okay.
Winston's mom says, why do you think Harris had to sleep her way to success? That's something women have to deal with when they are successful or when they try to break new ground in a career. Gossip to muddy the water.
Okay, sure. But the whole thing is that she was Willie Nelson was estranged from his wife. They never ended up getting divorced, but he was estranged from his wife and was having an open illicit relationship with Kamala Harris. And while they were together, he appointed her to positions that made her $120,000 a year and jump-started her career. The simple fact of the matter is, if she was never boyfriends with Willie Nelson, she would not be running for president today. It's just the reality of the situation. Now, is that a justifiable attack on her character? I don't know, but it is the attack, and it's going to be effective. You know what I mean? Ooh.
Trader Josh says, Seth, on a side note, I have a price action strategy for you to back test if you have some time.
Okay. Can you explain it here? Because I would be interested in that. Though the price action strategies that people shared with me, they weren't specific enough, or yeah. I got a lot of suggestions that I really wouldn't be, because the thing is it's got to be, I want it to be like, okay, anybody that's taken a price action course, they'll look at the results from this and they'll say, oh, I was had. Everything that they showed me was BS. Oh, you'll send me a PDF. Okay, awesome. That I'm excited. Macron is the epitome of the left, and he is a German slave. The UK Labour Party talks up inclusion, but their core base has never elected a female or minority leader I don't know about. The US stems? Oh, really? That's so interesting. That's really interesting. I didn't know that. I tell you what, the UK Labour Party. Yeah, I remember reading this book. I read. I don't know why I read it, but it was from, who was the prime minister when George Bush was president, and he pulled off that win, and it had been the first win for Labour in a really, really long time. I thought it was such an interesting read. Because I never realized, because him and George Bush were good pals and everything, right? And they got associated together. But he was from the Labour Party. They were the far left. And now the far left, the guy that's leading the far left now, is a total lunatic, man. Like just that guy alone being in charge basically lost them the last election. Tony Blair, that's right, Tony Blair. I read that book. I gained a lot of respect for Tony Blair from reading that book. And I was really young at the time, so I didn't realize that Tony Blair was basically the far left in the United States. Right? It was super interesting. Now, bots talking in there kind of interesting there too, because they have a two-party system basically in Canada too. I don't think that it's quite so regimented as it is in the United States, but there's like two parties. But Canada has been trending much more socialist than the United States is. So there's kind of this other interesting dynamic, isn't there? It seems to me that a two-party system has kept socialism from really taking root in the United States. But despite that, it seems, at least in the most recent past, that socialism has been getting more popular. But that's the way the pendulum swings, is you go socialist, and then we'll say, oh, oops, all of these policies that we put in were bad. And then you go more, I don't know how you want to put it, conservative libertarian. The libertarians never really get their way anymore. Feel bad for them. You have a 6-party system now? So is it then there's 6 parties, but there's still like two main coalitions, though, right? Three major parties. Gotcha. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I only hear about two. CDN will be going communist soon. The U.S. should watch their 12. I don't know. I don't think that Trudeau is such a bad guy, but it sounds like he's had a hard presidency. Let's just put it that way. But it doesn't sound like that Canada is going to swing all the way the other way like they did last time. It sounds like that people are still kind of trending towards more social programs, if you will. Everybody is, especially in this pandemic, because it's like, hey, the government is paying for like 20% of people and nothing super bad has happened yet. Maybe it'll work. That's what they're thinking right now, right? Hey, we've been doing this for 6 months, so it'll be great. Okay, do that for 5 years and then tell me how it works out. Your growth is going to be awful. But for now, that seems to be the momentum, doesn't it? So this whole thing about, like buy gold, for instance, makes sense to me. There's a lot of short-term problems with that, and in treasuries, it's a difficult one too, because you would think, you'll get inflation, so sell the treasuries, but then it's not, because you'll get deflation and buy the treasuries. But then, how high can the treasuries actually get? It's a hard trade, right? The worst ever degrowth. Yeah. I'm really concerned about the long-term prospects for growth. Yeah, looks like we might have a little bit of a pull-up again. A little frustrated by, I knew that the move back up was possible, but I thought that CPI news was so significant. I guess that they must have already priced it in, and I just made the complete wrong call. Also, here in the E-mini. So I was saying, okay, I see a spot where maybe they might be stopping some shorts out above the S1. But you could see when they came up there that the action was not indicating that was happening. So I think that we might need another news catalyst to really want to make a move in the equities. Wrong. By the way, John, have you tried the cost basis indicator? Have you had any success with it? I've been waiting for you to come back and be like, oh my gosh, Seth, it's amazing. I can't believe that I've been trading all this time without it. That's what I'm expecting to hear. Uber's California warning confirms that new economy companies are literally burn cash or they are out of business. Where are we going? Hold on. What time is it? I'll say 45. Yeah, I don't know if we've got. I think that the treasuries could. So we still have. When are these auctions? EIA. The 10-year note is at 11 my time. Oh, Feds Kaplan speaks at the top of the hour. Thought there was some note auctions as well, but I guess not. It's just the 10-year. Oh, you're still on summer vacation? Oh,
Bot
okay.
says no, I've basically been on summer vacation for the last month plus or minus.
I got you. Well, it's nice to see you today. Did all that wild craziness from yesterday bring you in? Yesterday was a day, man. Let me tell you what. Oh, that was a weird bender of a day yesterday. I'm just watching it on my separate screen as I'm doing my day job, and I just totally pulled me in.
Bot says just thought I'd drop in today, so was disappointed to hear the political discussions are ongoing.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kamala Harris was chosen as vice president. We have to talk about that. Come on. I think that we drifted off into things that were probably beyond my expertise, though, didn't we? Because I don't really know about a whole lot about Canadian politics. Apparently, my understanding of the situation was wrong, right there, right? And trying to describe, man, I was like, when I was describing it, I did it completely wrong. Because it's like the left is more fragmented, but the right, it's like if everybody gets split up, usually the Socialist Party wins. I didn't describe that very well. I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board about how to explain that to you guys, and another day we can explain it. Because I think the way that I explained it made it seem like I was just like dead wrong about it. Now, here's another interesting question for you, or thought for you guys. I was surprised when I went on Facebook the other day that the retail traders on Facebook thought that the reason that the market sold yesterday was because of the vice president pick. Isn't that funny? Yes. Yeah, if you want the
Winston's mom
political
says
commentary.
speculator Seth did a special live stream upload yesterday afternoon when Biden announced Harris as his choice for VP. If anyone wants to watch his political commentary, grins and giggles.
Yeah. So John's like, I won't be watching that one. I got you. He's from Ottawa. He's from the East in Canada. He's not going to be. He doesn't want to hear my radical far right ideas. Okay, so Canada's three major parties. Well, let me have. Oh no, I'll read it out because the way that she's going to read it out is going to be really confusing. Their three major parties are the Liberals, which are equal to the Democrats here in the U.S., Conservative, which is the Republicans, and the National Democratic Party, which is labor unions / socialists. So why do you think the National Democrat Party and the Liberal Party are separate? Why don't you think that they combined together into one party? Is that just the way that it is, or is there like some particular fundamental disagreement between them that is so strong that they just can't be together?
PRT1 says CDN libs are socialist, NDP wanna be communist, and conservatives are liberals.
Oh, okay. So is it the case like in the Democrat Party where you've got this section of the party that are like straight up Marxists, and so they went off and made their own party, and the rest of the actual liberals were like, yeah, okay, good riddance.
Bot says NDP had their roots in the working man unions.
RJ Wheels says NDP is like the Ocasio segment of Democrats.
Because here's the thing, I think I've had a thought in the past, I want to say year, 2 years, thinking back and watching the history and things like that. I could have voted for Kennedy. I don't know if I would have at the time, but looking back at it and him as a president and what he believed in and everything, I can say, okay, yeah, he was an okay president. LBJ, no. LBJ, ugh. Yeah, no. And Carter, incompetent. So that one, definite no. But then we get to Clinton. And I think Clinton, and there are things that I admire about the Democrat Party in Clinton. They were real liberals. These issues like personal rights, legal rights, protections against search and seizure, protections against invasion of privacy, These are all things that liberals in the Clinton days kind of believed. They were still interventionist. Clinton kind of did intervene in foreign affairs, but, and this is the thing that I think is missing in today's parties. Republicans talk about like that they want to protect rights like freedom of speech and things like that, but they're extremely milquetoast and ineffective about it. And anytime that it comes into like national security, for instance, they just completely fall over every time. And the liberals, they don't give a crap about that stuff anymore, man. Frankly, the Democrats, I feel like that all they care about is getting elected. They don't. That there's a section of the Democrat Party in particular that like straight up doesn't believe in freedom of speech. Right? So I'm looking back on it and I'm like, I miss what I think of as the real liberals in the United States. I feel like that Obama killed the real liberals in the United States, and I want them back. And there could be some situations where I could see myself voting for them if I thought that the Republican candidate was bad. Like if it was Michelle Bachmann versus some future Bill Clinton, I would vote for him over me. You know what I mean? It's interesting. Kennedy today would be a moderate Republican, probably. I think you're probably right. And the thing is usually I would put myself in here in Utah. I'm like too liberal for people. That's the thing that's so funny about it. Is I really don't like the ultra conservative religious section of the Republican base. When I go on the Donald and I read a lot of stuff that they're saying, it's like so much that is just in abject denial about what reality is, frankly. I see a lot of that these days. And I can't stand it. And I feel like I'm just like babysitting children sometimes. You know what I mean? But then when I go over to the moderates don't do jack squat. So it's kind of hard to ally yourself with them, right? Oh, politics. It's always, if there's one thing that I could tell you that would not only help you interpret politics for the purposes of reading markets, but also help you make your own decisions about who to vote for that would make your decisions more effective and more likely to result in the right person getting elected. It's that public policy always involves a series of compromises between differing interests. Always. You make a decision, it's going to help one group of people and it's going to hurt another group of people. It's always a thing like that. And sometimes you have to make balances between what you would really like to have happen and the politics, because if you can't stay elected, then you can't do anything. So if I was going to give you anything, it would be that.
Sunday Driver says Kennedy would never have passed the Immigration Act of 1965.
Yeah. Lyndon B. That was LBJ that did that, right? I got to tell you, LBJ's presidency was a very big negative for the country. I don't think that people realize how bad his presidency was. The thing is it's like really the what I think is going on. I think that LBJ's presidency was so bad that America has tried to forget it. It's like we've erased it from our memories. You notice? Did you hear a lot of people going around talking about their stories from Vietnam? Like, there's a lot of people still alive today. They fought like they were there. I've spoken to one person in person in my life that was there. I've watched some documentaries about it. They don't like to talk about it. It's not regular. The people from World War II, they told everybody everything. They wanted people to know. But it's not the same thing with the Vietnam War and Lyndon B. Johnson. We've basically memory hold that whole section of our history because it was so bad.
PRT1 says that's easy for CD and Trump has helped my pension.
There you
Thanks. Jackson O'Leary says JFK assassination was an inside job.
I can't. I've seen. I'm not a super big expert on the Kennedy assassination, but I've read a lot of stuff that shows that what happened is pretty much what the official story was, is pretty close to what happened, and maybe there's some weird things around the edges that we don't know yet. But the whole thing that it was an inside job, I don't think so. I think that guy was just crazy. Oh, okay. Josh is sending me the. Bum, 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 ba-dum. As I was gonna say, for if you guys want to email me, you can email me. I have an email set up just for this. That is speculatorseth@protonmail.com. This is probably the best way to send me stuff. So I'm gonna put 2 in there and track their Q position. I might dump it though. The E-mini is not backing off yet, is it? And we went through that whole counter trend period without anything super interesting happening. Nice positioning at the 07, right? When it was finally time, I knew it, and I pushed into it pretty decisively and aggressively, didn't I? So I'm proud about that. It looks like I am going to come out of all of this in the end up a little, but overall I'm a little unhappy about how it went, because I went and I took the news trade and I got it exactly wrong. The positioning was already super negative, and so it just reversed on it really hard.
PRT1 says I've asked this before, but what is best brokerage for futures?
I don't know if there is one. I feel so. Here's the thing about brokers. Oh, hold on a second. Rosengreen is talking now. So here's the thing you got to remember with a futures broker. The guy that gives you access to the market is actually the FCM. Okay. The only reason the broker is there is because the FCM cannot handle all of the support for all of the traders that trade through the FCM. That makes sense? So you go through the broker. So that's why brokers kind of go into 2 categories. So you got the guys like AMP that basically say, we're going to do like the minimum amount possible so that you just get a good commission. And then you've got the other everybody else. And I think the best example on the other end of the spectrum is Optimus Futures, where they say, okay, so we're going to get the people for support that just know the absolute most and will be the absolute best support that you can get. And then you've kind of got everybody in between, like Stage 5 was kind of trends a little bit more towards the AMP side, but they have good support, but they're still cheap. Trading technologies, where you get a lot of really premium features. There's so many. The only ones that I've ever really heard like actively bad stuff about is AMP, which is the one that I use. But so to me, I don't know if which one you pick is necessarily the biggest deal. If you're trading as large sums of money and you really want the support, then Optimus are the ones that I trust on that. Optimus or Edge Clear. So, and I kind of really want to start an Edge Clear account and see how they're like. They're new though. I kind of want to do more with Optimus too, but I can only do one at a time. Apparently, if you have two, then you're a professional. So, and I don't. I am going to fund some more, but I'm not going to build up enough to move over yet. Unfortunately, I was close, but then we bought the news stuff. But we'll build it up. We'll get there. I've been going through Axia's ladder course. Actually, quite good. I really enjoy it. Good addition to No BS. Oh, really? Wait, did you buy it? I don't. Or is there just like a PDF floating around? I just ask because why don't Mike, when you're done going through it, hit me up on Discord and tell me what you think about it, because I've never really gotten direct feedback from somebody that I knew about Axia's course. From what I understand about Axia's course, it's like thorough and so there's good information in it, but that the last person that I heard talking about it wasn't sure if it was worth it. Like they were saying that for somebody like me that's been trading for a while and has an okay idea about how things work, that it wouldn't be that useful. But you never know. It might just be like that one little teeny tiny detail that's might seem insignificant that is the one thing holding you back, you know? It can be like that, so. The E-mini has really slowed down, but the place that it has stopped, makes it hard for me to sell it. I do see that the market makers are very much getting short. It's not excessive, though. It's actually pretty... How should I say this? It's pretty casual over there in the E-mini right now in terms of positioning. Wee GFF? What are you talking about?
Mike Salisbury says yes, will MSG you on Discord later on when I finish it. Good differentiation on manipulative trading, and how to trade orders explained in a different way than John Grady.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's the thing is, I really like John Grady's course, but I would not recommend trading his signals. Quite frankly, it seems to me that John Grady's course was very much written to sell. But I like it because John Grady's course does such a good job of explaining the game that's going on. I don't think that his signals are like, you take it this way every time and then you'll be profitable. But he does a good job of categorizing the kinds of plays that you see so that when you start watching the DOM for yourself, you have at least some idea of what's going on. And as you watch it, you can start to come up with your own understanding of the market. You know what I mean? That's what I like about John Grady's course. But of course, it's not, you know, I don't think that it was necessarily meant to be thorough and all that. Does that make sense? I'm having a hard time explaining that because it makes it sound like, maybe you shouldn't get John Grady's course. No, it's not that. It's like a really good course. It's the best, really. It's just this. He puts in there like, here are the signals that you trade, and I don't think you want to play it that way. You want to be aware of what the game is, but make your own decisions based off of fundamentals, I think. That's the way I do it, at least. But I've never seen anything anywhere that gets you into the mind of how the game is played like John Grady does. Nobody comes even close. And I love listening to him too. He's got that what Midwestern accent. He's so calm and collected about it. He knows what he's talking about. He did trade in the industry. He has like a lot of good. Anytime I tell you what, anytime that he does a webinar on Futures IO, you want to go and watch that because what he's doing is he's looking at what's going on in the markets and he knows like the one thing that's going to help you the most.
Mike Salisbury says yes, I totally understand.
I get it. Now, Fred's Rose and Green talking. So, I'm gonna make a course. I'm gonna make it free. Because I've been just looking through things, and I have a video that's like getting started in futures. Okay, that's okay. I have a video that's like about trading education. Like I have a couple of videos that are geared towards beginners, but I'm realizing like the thing, like my idea about how you should be approaching trading and should be getting started in trading, like the things that I think that the beginners should be hearing, is just not out there. It's not popular, but it's not out there. And I think about it and I'm like, I need a trading course. I need a trading course. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, but I'm just like, what is really the best way to do this? I need something thorough. It can't just be a video. It's got to be like a huge book of everything. But then it's like, I just hate the retail. Education is so expensive. I could probably write up a course and charge $1,000 for it. Some people are charging $1,000 for like a manual. And that just bothers me so much because I feel like that people are being taken advantage of. But there's also stuff out there that I think that people need to hear that's not really being said. So how do I fill the market need without becoming a part of the problem? Make it free. That's what I'm thinking. I make it free. It'll be mostly to promote it'll attract people to the channel. And if it's a good manual, then it'll bring a lot of people in. I think that's what I should do. Like, I don't know. It was just like a thought this morning when people were talking about it. Actually, it's kind of been a thought. I thought about making one. I was thinking about selling it, but then this morning I was thinking about it and I was like, no, I should do it and just make it free. It's almost now starting to feel like an inspired thought. Sometimes I get those thoughts and immediately when it comes to me, it's like, no, this is inspired. You were meant to do this, Seth. This one I'm kind of slowly come to it, but I'm starting to feel that way about it. Starting to feel like this is the right thing to do. This is what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I think I can open that. Oh, it's so big. I will check that out later, Josh, but I'll have to do it after the stream because that's a big file. I like the marketing technique, give your best stuff away for free, right? No, I agree with you. Well, you have the platform at least, Seth, so that would be a good start. Yeah. I mean, and the thing is the channel's doing really well. The trading's doing really well. We'll see if this holds up going into September. I think that there's going to be a lot of growing pains in September, right? But hey, it's like these ones right here. It's like if I have enough contracts to work with, I can make money. Like I did that. I I sized up max 5 on both of them because I was able to take on the risk. I flipped around and I made money on the downside. Not a ton, but enough. So we need to get more accurate with that. And when we're dealing with trends, it's a little bit more difficult. And there's some things about the strategy that need work. Like I really want to make my own platform. That's another thing. I really want to like interact with the Rhythmic API directly. I think that we are going to go there, but I think we're going to have to work towards it because it's not cheap and it's a lot of time and stuff. To do it properly, I might need to hire people. So we might need to like build the channel up a little bit, get to the point where we can kind of start that as a business or something. Charge a nominal fee and get a shitload of people, at least cover costs in your time. Yeah, I suppose we could put it out and, well, so another way we could do it that I think would be legit too would be to make a book and publish it. Oh, that's cool. Spoofing types for anyone interested. I've never seen that link before. Thanks for sharing that. I always feel like, oh, I've seen everything within our network, but no, I have not. Patterns. Layering, vacuuming, collapsing layers, flipping, spread squeezing. Oh, this is good. This is good shit. I'm gonna read this. See what I can learn. Sure that a lot of my problems is that some of the patterns that you see on the DOM that might have given me technical advantages were just beyond my ability to see, comprehend. You know what I mean? Make a video. Well, I'm gonna make videos. I have a lot of videos coming in. I'm getting should have a microphone so that I can make a little bit more blog stuff because everything is like at my desk with the microphone. I want to make a couple of videos that are a little bit more have a little bit more creative entertainment element to it. So I got a microphone so that I can go out and just attach it to the camera and record that way. So we're going to try and do some fun stuff with that. Maybe poke fun at some things in the industry. Yeah. And I'm working on the strategy video. That's another really big one, right? Because one of the things that I can really give you guys that's useful is the programming stuff. I think I'm really good at it. I think that I'm good at explaining how to do it. So maybe that's egotistical, but people have found my videos useful, and I should really be making more of those. So I'm working on one for that. That one takes a little bit more time though because, back testing strategies takes time. So there's some iceberging happening here on the bid. I'm thinking that there could be some further downsides still, but because of the time, I might have to just take it off here. Well, the 5-year is trying to drag us down. Yeah, let's work on this iceberg since it's there. Okay. All right. It's unfortunate that I didn't get filled on those other 2 contracts. It's actually kind of nice. This one, the first trade went 6 ticks against me, and this one went 9 ticks in my favor. Not bad, right? So I actually did good. Was able to get out of that other one early enough to. I should have done it earlier. I should have gotten out at like 05. But. And if you have recommendations for videos, let me. Where is it? Let's pull up Evernote here really quick and see, organize myself a little bit better on the videos. Let's see what I've got. We can get rid of that. So I've got on my list here, backtesting strategies, best technical indicators, biggest beginner mistakes, identifying scams, health tips, kind of like schedule sort of stuff, sources of edge, and I need to make a video about interest rates. That one is kind of, I have this thing written out that was kind of about when the yield curve was what do we call it? Inverting. Yeah, inverted yield curve, but then I was like, well, the way that this is going is not quite how I understand it. I don't think I should make a video about it. But. So that's kind of the ones that I got on my list right now. I don't know. I try and make stuff on TikTok every day, every other day. So if you use that, probably most of you guys don't. So the problem with TikTok is that the kind of audience that I'm looking for doesn't use TikTok, and you get this other audience that's not going to like what I say. That sucks. But I do post a lot of thoughts on TikTok. And sometimes they're more preliminary ideas of stuff that I share with you guys here on the live stream. But what are there one of those that particularly interest you, or are there things that you think you would like us to go into it instead? And if we're gonna make this, I've check out Fat Face. Okay. I do want to make, I don't know. I could make a course and like make it a published book or something like that. But I really like the idea of making it free. And honestly, if we make it free and it brings people into the channel, that in the long run would be more beneficial. And we'd help more people, frankly. And that also means that you guys can help me write it, right? So we'll compile stuff, have a document, and I can show it to you guys here on stream, and I can talk about the things that I'm including in it, and you can say, oh, you need to include this, you need to include this. But it's going to be very much like I don't want it to be, okay, here's a strategy that you can use. Here's a technical signal that you can use. I want it to be much more only verifiable facts, things that you need to know about the markets that can assist your trading. Like, okay, here are the different economic numbers and why they're important. Those are the sorts of things that I want to get into, right? Here are the different assets. Here's how they're affected by different factors. And then there will be some philosophical things, but it'll be more about like, this is why you need to incorporate fundamentals and that sort of a thing. Check out FatFace73. I made it to prove to the kids that I could get viewers. Oh, that's so funny. Here, wait, let me try and pull it up. The thing is, what's the most views that you got on something? I think that TikTok will like one of your earlier videos. Within like the first 5 videos that you post, one of them will get boosted higher than it probably should be. Um, 73. Oh, well, we'll see. You got a couple of views. No, you need to use hashtags PRT. So you make one and you put the right hashtags on it. Oh, actually, some of these have a lot of likes. 33. Oh, it won't show me total views. So some of those must have a couple thousand views in. Yeah, it's funny. A lot of the videos that I put on TikTok too are of my baby. So if you want to see the baby, TikTok's the place. Kids were pissed at very bad quality. Sometimes the things that become popular on TikTok really surprise me. Well, I'm just looking over here on the E-mini and I'm like, I wish that I had gotten in a different trade. I don't know if I would have bought that, but it was just one trade that was minus 4 ticks. Maybe that's just today though. I don't know. It feels kind of weird just taking one tepid trade and stopping, but I just don't see the opportunity over there. We did get the opportunity that we wanted in the Treasuries. It just didn't play out quite the way that we wanted. So it could have been a really good trade, and it just kind of ended up being like 3 ticks. It's okay. Mm, mm, mm. Oh, we still got 5 minutes though. What else do we got? We should check through a couple of things. Feel like I'm missing something. White House Economic Advisor Kudlow, Trump completely opposes bailing out states. Yeah, that one's not going to happen. I guarantee you, if you think that's going to happen, Democrats, that one's not going to happen. Brannigan Berry, just a small 10% correction in gold all week long, shaking out. 1800, 1850 is the place to get long. The economic backdrop has not changed. We will be in a negative environment for the remainder of 2020. Stay with the trend. The people who are always looking to fight trends are the ones that missed them. Don't fight what's working, participate in it. That might be true. Hmm. I was thinking, yesterday we did that stream and we went through the Wall Street bets. Did a little Wall Street bets tier drinking. Wondering if I should include that more. I'm wondering if the algorithm is sending people our way because of that. Should keep an eye on that stuff. I wanted to find Brannigan's old Futex ladder course. I really like the way he explains stuff. Yeah, Brannigan is an interesting guy. I really like him. I like listening to him. Sometimes though, when I'm watching him say stuff on Twitter, he seems way overconfident about things. Let's go look at his profile. What was it that he was saying the other day that I was like, "Oh, this is nonsense." Uh, uh, uh. He's been saying gold is likely to correct since August 5th, so that's one. For all the gold bugs, time to take profits. Further gains unlikely until either Fed or FOMC either goes negative rates or yield curve control 1800 will likely be tested. Well, he was right in the long run, but not on the short run. See, even back at 1725, he was looking for the gold run to stop. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I really wonder how he makes the calls that he does. Because it seems like some of the calls that he's making are based on fundamentals and might not be worth following, I guess you could say. Seth, where is your orange bird? He's in the basement. I need to make a video with the bird too. I just don't know what I want to say. I want to have a video where the bird and me or the baby and me have a discussion, but we're not quite sure what the discussion should be. Argue about the Federal Reserve policy of some kind. But them and the baby don't get along, so we've had him in the basement. Forbes says Kamala Harris's biracial heritage has thrown conservatives into a tailspin. I don't know about that, but they do seem to be trying to include it in attacks on her. Economic advisor Larry Kudlow, data suggests the economy only needs targeted money. Thinks economy is entering a self-sustaining recovery. Trump completely opposes bailing out states. And he's done speaking on Fox Business. Didn't get a lot of movement off of that. I suppose the Treasuries could move a little lower. I got out because of timing. Looks like there was maybe one. No, because I got out at 30. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you guys. Oh, Fed's Kaplan is still speaking, so keep an eye on that, guys. But it's time for me to go. So thank you very much. Make sure you click that like button. If you're new, not subscribed yet, subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way, when we go live, you'll get notifications. Much easier to follow the channel that way. We're here every morning. Good group of guys. And thank you, Mike. Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. And in the meantime, oh, wait. What should we call today's stream? I don't know what we should call today's stream. What did we talk about? Well, let's just call it something really boring like CPI shows inflation growing faster than anticipated. That's what we'll call today's video. Unless you have a better idea, you can put it on the video comments later or something. Good talk, Dad. Thanks. Hey, stay profitable, friends.